fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics panic. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Music down now it's gone and toys. Some boy me telling us you no must realize whole globe done change. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is strange. Some your lyrics that I forget rearrange. You don't be money get hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to this song so bitter? You get opportunity with that responsibility to achieve reality. Me no need no gimmick to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Violence prevention, that will mention why you have to spit with so much bad intention. So I'm gonna say it, social GB. What's the seed far close to the G? You know, say retire that is negativity. Plus, you stay the complete. Even though you have dollars, they fall like rain. Still want drive in another man lane. No shit. You don't need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. You don't need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. You don't need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. You don't need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Easy squeeze, make no riot. So they make noise easy. See why alongside Wavy and my boy, YG. Me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Music down now it's gone and toys. Some boy me telling us you no must realize whole globe done change. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is strange. Some your lyrics that I forget rearrange. You don't be money get hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to this song so bitter? You get opportunity with that responsibility to achieve reality. Me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like
Hey, Kwame.
me no need no gimmick for to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the
What's
air,
going on?
some boy beware. We fling bout
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed too, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Sorry, I can talk. Give me a second.
Yeah, take your time. Suzanne, what's up?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Y'all ladies in the building.
Are we live?
Yeah, we live.
Oh, we're live. Oh, good.
Yeah, we live.
Good. Good night, everyone. See Smokes?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing, Suzanne?
I am doing good. Thank you for always keeping us organized.
Oh,
To the
I'll
best
try
of
my best.
we see you and we appreciate you. And I've had a couple of people who reached out to me, and so I wanted to pass that on to you tonight. A lot of friends who their spouse never really was a fan of the show, has just been tuning in from their spouse listening in, and just from the stuff that we share, and the good positive vibes that we talk about.
It's a vibe for real.
So they started to time for our show tonight, and they want to make sure that they don't miss the show. So that's
Okay. Yeah,
that's
that's a
props to you.
blessing. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Hi, Carmen.
Hello,
Carmen, you there?
hello. How
Carmen,
is
you there?
everyone doing? How are
Good.
you?
How you doing? How you doing?
Very blessed. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, of course, of course. I see you have a very impressive resume there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what? I appreciate that from you.
yeah, yeah. It shows your accomplishments and it shows your drive and what you've been through. We gonna talk about it as we go along, but we just want to say good night and thanks for coming on. You know what I mean? Susan be looking forward to asking you a few questions. So that'll be nice. And about the upcoming event, oh my, we applaud you on that too.
Thank
So
you. We're humbled and honored to
don't
be here
worry.
with you guys. Thank you.
I know. We just go relax and have a good little time and talk about a few little things, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
So
Yes, Susan.
before we jump into, I did wanted to mention, and I can make mention of it at the end of the Wednesday show. Read between the lines. Please check that time slot out. Is 9 Eastern time, and that's with Mr. Our chairman G. Michael Reed, and Honorable Jose Koi, and they just is a ball of knowledge. Um, so we can go ahead and jump in for our tonight's show.
Well, at present, we're waiting on
We're
you see
waiting on
me in a
one
minute.
more.
Yeah, we're waiting for by Mark. So, but it's okay. I mean, we have Carmen here, and you have the document I sent you.
Uh,
Um,
I'm sorry, you talking to me or?
No, I'm talking to Susan.
Yes, you got it.
I
Oh, okay.
should. Was it in my email?
Yeah, you should have having it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I still got it too, though.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me pick out a few things. So, Susan, Carmen. I apologize, Carmen.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Your culture, your growth in the hip hop industry, and I heard your name, but I never did meet you. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, but I heard about you and your struggles and what you've been through. What what kept you going? I should say. What inspired you, like, to just keep that drive going and to stay true to the culture like that? I mean, I know reading from your resume it was kind of difficult at certain times. What kept you going? Tell us.
Well, I honestly think for many of us, we grew up in the culture, right?
Right.
And for mass majority, and I'm going to just speak for myself, but I would say it has been something that has kept us going through tough times. Music, dance, and art is an outlet for expression.
Mm-hmm.
And for the many people, I'm included in that
Of
don't
course.
have the privilege of having the dance lessons and the art classes and the photography and all
Wow.
of those things at your disposal, right?
Yeah, that goes along with it, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that once you are able to be involved in, like many of us, we have just a passion for the culture. And really, for me, what I've always solidified in my heart is that hip hop, what it originally stemmed from was community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for me, that's everything. I wasn't able to really hone in on a specific craft, but I've always been there in the community, supporting and doing everything I can to be able to be involved and surrounded with what I love, which is music and dance and art.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's so many levels and layers of that for me. I was overseas in the 80s, And that's when I was able to actually be introduced to hip hop by my stepsister, who was 5 years older than me.
Okay.
And of course, anybody that was not in the New York scene would have probably experienced it on a different level, just like anybody else, right? So
Right.
being overseas, you had the privilege, if you will, to be able to learn of music on a different level than they did stateside, because on the stateside, they have the originals. But when you want to talk about overseas and music in particular, that's when you had rare cuts that were for your like European version and the imports, right?
Correct.
So there's a lot of music that I had the privilege of hearing abroad that people, look at me like, how would you know that, right? Like,
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, because that's, an import that was, specifically made for European market or
No.
different markets, right?
No.
So
Correct. Yeah.
So it was really one of those things I can say I had been privy to. And honestly, that was around from the 80s to the early 90s. Early 90s, I was able to be around people once I came back in about 85 to the United States. And, hip hop was really, 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 bumping in every way possible. There was so many things happening during that year. You had your Fresh Fest going on and lots of, just major milestones in the hip hop world.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, it was blazing,
I was
right?
a kid. So, I remember my cousin. She wanted to take me to the Fresh Fest concert, and my mother refused because she was like, she's gonna be too high to be responsible for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna get lost in the crowd. You're a little midget. I don't want that nothing happening to you, right? And and I was devastated, to be honest, right? So
That she was devastated.
yeah, man, that was everything. Like that Run DMC was everything, right, at the time for me. And so I definitely have to say that there's so many layers of what I had been exposed to. And then I can say that I was one of my first boyfriends. He was a popper locker in the West Coast. Then he actually is somebody probably that is one of the known West Coast poppers by the name of Coco Pop. And he was definitely one of the people that, I was able to learn a little bit more about West Coast dance. Then I was, then I moved around a bit. So I can definitely tell you when I was in Houston, Texas, that's where I became a part of a crew called the Rebel Crew. The Rebel Crew in Houston, Texas, were, everybody from b-boys to graffiti writers to b-boys, DJs, all of the whole gamut, right?
Your wealth of knowledge. Wow, your memory is good too.
Hey,
Go ahead,
can I stop you guys real quick and just introduce our guest who had just joined us?
I'm sorry, I kept it going.
We want to hear more, but we do want
that was awesome.
You just getting lost in Carmen. You're getting lost.
Hey, look, I was.
Go ahead, Susan.
I thought I was in the waiting room, but I hadn't clicked my audio, so I was like, when they gonna call me? When they gonna call me?
We want to welcome you. Yes.
Thank you for having us. Ultimately, I think I put it in the chat that I'm glad y'all started with Carmen, because Carmen is a living example of how hip hop is a global thing. And she talked about some of the places that she lived and that the experience was vibrant in each of them. And I think, you know, all of us started doing something. I think it was a culture, but my biggest takeaway from it was the development of unity. I think what many people don't understand that is that it gave, not only is it $1 billion industry, but it gave kids a safe haven. What stood out to me the most, because I'm actually doing a documentary right now that's 5 parts, and we've cut episode 1. We're going to actually be screening it at the event just before the Harlem Street Arts Festival, and it's going to be talking about the evolution of all of this, right? You know, sometimes we think we have theories, and the theories tell us that well, it happened this way, or it should have happened this way, or if you look back. But what I want to offer up is a different theory. You know, if the axis of the world is in a totally different place, the spin of the world would be different. What we've experienced with hip hop has kind of spun out of control, and there's been great elements. It has been revolving, but I think we don't understand who's responsible. What's important for us every day is to, you know, give honor where honor is due.
Correct.
So we are doing a doc that is about the evolution of rocking, right? When you ask yourself, who are some of the legends and who are some of the people, we always talk about Kool Herc, we talk about Flash, we talk about Bambaataa, we talk about different people that are a part of the culture, but I don't think we look at the landscape prior to. I know you guys have all heard of block parties, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Block parties existed way before hip hop started. In the late 60s, early 60s, late 50s, actually, they would play music out, right? And then there were bands that were on the street. But then when it became a more of a digital era where there were record players, right? And all this, there were always block parties.
Right.
So when Herc came out and guys came out to play, you have to understand there were nightclubs in New York, a lot of vibrant nightclubs, and the night, right,
Correct.
So the element that Herc and them represented were the kids that could not get in the clubs.
Okay.
You had to be, check this out. You had to be 23 if you were a man, a male, and you had to be 21 if you were a woman to get in the club.
Wow. Yeah.
And disco was booming.
Yes.
Disco was rocking. It was a lot of things going on.
Oh wow.
That
Yeah,
they
I forgot
wanted to
about
be
that.
a part.
Yeah. Right.
So
So
if you think about it, when you have this explosion of, like, you know, Afro-Cuban music, people was listening to, you know, everything. They were listening to Ralph McDonald. You know what I'm saying? They were listening to, and it was African, Caribbean, right? And it was Latin music. Now Caribbean is Latin and Jamaican, right?
Absolutely.
So the parents was listening to this music. The music was being played by DJs, and the kids were familiar, but they couldn't get in the clubs.
Yeah.
So what Herc did was he came out and he started playing music. But what he realized is that there were groups of kids that didn't dance to the records. They would be there grooving, do a little something. But when they actually heard the break,
lights out.
Lights out. When they when they heard the break, right? They went berserk for the breaks.
Yeah.
Right? So they called them the break boys, the boing boys the B-Boys,
Okay,
right?
okay,
The
okay.
crew that we do in the documentary, their name, official name is the Bronx Boys Rocking Crew.
Yeah, yeah.
So we celebrating them, right, at the Harlem Street Arts Festival. But what happened was, and this is the big element. These kids need to receive humanitarian awards. Let me tell you why. Because these were the kids whose fathers and brothers and uncles were getting killed in the streets. There was the 7 Immortals, the Chingalings. There were,
Yeah.
right? There was
Right.
all these different gangs, right? And you had a block radius. You had not one block, but you had a certain amount of block radius where your gang was official.
Yeah.
When you look at the kids telling me, so it's on the documentary, yo, I saw my father get killed in front of me at the
Yeah.
age of 12.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be in gangs no more.
No.
And the gang members was telling them, yo, don't be in no gang.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard
So
stories about that. I heard
Yeah.
stories about that. Yeah.
So when you look at these kids, these are the same kids whose they know parents and friends that got killed. They didn't want to do that no more. What they did was they developed this thing that they saw people doing. It was like an old style that some of the gang members was doing. They did top rocking, and they would battle each other. But if you touch each other, you out. So if you
Yeah.
touch somebody, but you doing moves like
Yeah,
like karate moves, superhero moves, right?
Yeah.
And they did that because they wanted a sense of camaraderie. They formed their own crews from their
Yeah.
block, and they battled cats, and everybody stayed alive.
Yeah.
That's what
Same
this is
time.
about.
That's the
That was
tradition
a
we
huge,
carrying on. That's the tradition we
Right.
carrying on.
Wow.
Right.
that
It's
was
about.
a huge turning point, and you know, not to spin off anything crazy, but this is where, and this is like documented. This is where Latino and African American kids
Yes.
became one. There was no divide. That is actually where and when they united.
Okay.
And it's documented that there was the Young Lords, they had enough of all of the violence and
Yeah.
everyone being killed in front of all of these kids, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where the unification and the birthing of hip hop came about, with the two uniting as one.
Okay. So let me ask you, what is the difference? Have you seen, like, musically, hip hop too, but from then until now and maybe the future? What it kind of look like? And not when people say hip hop, there's some people talk only about maybe the song. I'm not talking about the song. I'm talking about what you and Mr. B's talking about, right? The tradition, the nurturing part, that part of it. How have it changed? Like financing. Does the government help with anything? Who we have to help us clean the yard? Who we have to paint the thing? To where the funds? Who gather the funds? How you raise funds? You know what I mean? When you have a session, is there I know if you having a session and you don't have a vendor's license, is it still possible for somebody who do have a vendor's license to come out and do their wares? Questions like that we want to know. The evolution of it all. You know what I mean? Not only like about the song itself and what they're saying about, but the movement itself. From back then when you was a little girl, 5 years old, running around with your sister, until now, how the landscape have changed. And not only like in New York, but say globally. I know it's a lot of questions. It's a loaded question.
That's a heavy loaded one. That's a heavy loaded one, to be honest.
I do want to make
Please,
questions,
Bob.
because when he mentioned the deserving of a humanitarian award, right? Would that be from like UNESCO? Would that be from the city that they're living in? That is huge, and it's huge when do they get a doctorate degree, right? Because that really becomes that level. The experience becomes the qualification. And so where does that come from? Where does those
That's that is a perfect segue into what I was about to tell y'all. First off, the elements of hip hop can be used all over. The elements actually unify people. So because we get out and play music and we can battle dancing, and that's why the art form has stayed pure. You know, there's been a lot of different things breaking off. A lot of people do a lot of different dances, is getting crunk, is that, you know, and there's a lot of styles that people have utilized, but the element of dance, the element of celebrating, the element of moving your body, right? You're not speaking words, you're not saying anything. It's the purest form of your whole body being involved in expression. So what we applied for, and this is going to break everybody's heart because it broke my heart every time I tell you, we applied for the National Endowment of Humanities to tell this story.
Okay.
We worked out the grant. We worked out everything. We hit all the elements of it. We were working with National Endowment of the Humanities, people who help you kind of, you know, make sure you're doing the things in the right direction. You know,
Correct.
you're actually
correct.
being together.
That's one of my questions. Correct.
And they were like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
We had two doctors, right? We had Michael Dyson was going to be on with us. We had Dr. James Peterson, who's in the film, one of the films, and is a well-known, right, humanitarian. He teaches at a couple different universities, right? And we had a bunch of people just testifying to the fact that these were, and I think that's why, you know, I got to bring God into it, is why God blessed it so that, you know, all these kids, you look at all the people who's involved in hip hop, their lives were saved. They wasn't just people who started working.
Yeah.
In 1975, the president of the United States came and there were cries out to people to help the Bronx. They said, forget the Bronx. And I'll show you, there's a newspaper article about it, right? So what happened? Something happened to change the dynamic, to change it. When you got kids, and then you got kids that know that it's a hopeless life, they smoking dust. They smoking dust. And dust make you do things you definitely would not do.
Correct. I agree.
They're smoking sherms, right?
Correct.
While out, don't remember nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And so why I'm telling you this is that the elements of hip hop can be used for good or for evil.
Yeah. But all right, now that you mentioned that, this is what I'm asking you. This is a prevalent question I've been asked a lot, right? Because we are not blind, so we could see. Now, the powers that be is advocating certain kinds of music. I mean, they're the ones that are spending this humongous amount of money, but on what they want to hear and what they want to push as a narrative of what we are. But we are not necessarily that. Now, as a young kid coming up, right? As a young kid coming up, if you and you don't want them to lapse into it. Susan, my co-host, is huge on kids. On Wednesday, the host of that show have a park that he built himself for kids. He advocates for kids for crazy, so we could understand. Now, the attraction, I'm saying, for some of these kids out here today that want to say, well, like, oh man, you know what I mean? I see my man over there, I'm seeing this on TV. I see my man with the big gold chair on TV. I see my man on there rapping. I see with all the girls, whatever. But they don't understand. It's at a cost. You see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get them to understand the business aspect of the business. You see what I'm saying? I think they've come a long way over the past couple of years. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I think we need to instill this value into them so that and even the perception of it. You know what I mean? For the little girls, the little boys, and all that, it's taunting, but it's because there's a machine behind it. And this is what I want to ask you. That's why I asked you who was aiding you in certain things and helping, like you mentioned a couple of names. But as far as that, the machine behind certain things and certain aspects of what these people doing is like blasphemous, man.
Yeah. So you know, there's that element, right? Because we know what evil sounds like. right? We know what good sounds like. We know what things encourage our people. But I think the one thing that is sure that we have to endure, what has occurred could easily discourage people from continuing it. Oh, that's old school. Do you know that in Europe and Asia, hip hop is celebrated so much more than it is here, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was
You
Absolutely.
think
with,
so? You think
oh,
so?
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely,
Because but
Still
I have
today.
seen, I personally have seen a growth though. I mean, there was a time when it got a little sideways. As far I'm talking about pure hip hop. I'm not talking about I'm talking about pure. You know what I'm
right?
saying? The rapping, the
Yeah,
hip
yeah,
hop,
yeah.
because the whole thing. I've seen a growth lately over the last, I say, 4 or 5 years. I've seen bobbers and older heads too have come
Well, you
back
got
and
to
it's
understand.
going the way and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you got to understand. 73, the art form was created. So 23 was the 50th anniversary of hip hop itself.
Correct.
And hip hop is not through. What
No,
you must understand that is evolving, and people are trying to steal it and use it for themselves.
you tell me about it.
So,
When when
but
it should
we
be
but
more of a cultural exchange.
Tell me about it.
right,
Absolutely.
right, right.
Absolutely.
So that's what we promote. And I want you to know what's important, and what we try to do and we've been doing for a long time is one of the young ladies is the organizer. She's the brother of the president, and she organizes a food drive every year when we do our we have a hip hop reunion. We have, an anniversary dinner, and we have all kinds of stuff. We dance in, there's competitions. That's what we'll be doing. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the weekend of the 50th anniversary for TBB Rocking Crew. Now,
Yeah.
what that means is Friday there's going to be like a tour, and people will go to certain spots that are historic in the development and evolution of rocking, as well as Saturday we have a huge award ceremony, right? That's going to entail a lot of people. I've got
Oh wow, man, come on.
from big time players in hip hop, right? Groups, people in rock and roll, all kind of crazy people giving a shout out to TBB because they understand the origin. Now, let me tell you the origin. The origin of hip hop, it was created to promote unity. It was created to promote prosperity, right? And so it's doing that. My only hope was that we understand the importance of the dancer, but especially with the Australian girl in the Olympics,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So that could easily be like, oh yeah, nobody's doing that. And that,
Yeah.
everything is systemic and deliberate. Not
Yeah.
everything is
Okay.
calculated.
Okay,
Nothing is
correct.
an
I agree.
accident.
I agree
Hey Bob, I
100%.
want to share a comment from one of our viewers who says
Yes.
that they lived in Japan for 2 years
Yep.
and it's glorified and worship over there. I think I see that a lot in the Asian market, with the clothing, the sounds, the class, the workshops that they do offer. I can do see they're
yes.
involved in the hip hop world.
Very, very heavily there as well because you have a lot of the B boys and B girls going out there, like you said, making the workshops. And definitely it's very heavily evolved since in the Asian market as well. The
Now let me
dance. Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
Now let me tell you why. Now this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna sound crazy, and and I don't want to sound crazy, but I'm gonna have
No,
to.
no, tell us. We want to hear it.
Hold on,
we'll try to make sense of it.
Where you go again?
what
Come on, bro.
what has happened is, and you'll this is in the film. There was a young man named Bomb 5. Bomb 5 was a part of TBB when they broke up. So TBB broke up, right? They existed, right? And then they broke up, 75 to 79. What happened was, this is so crazy. there were 4 guys who started a new crew. The 4 guys started a new crew called Rock Steady. The Rock Steady crew is probably one of the most celebrated crews all over the entire planet in relation to breakdancing, or we call it rock dancing.
Right.
What's crazy about it is that Bomb 5 was a member of TBB and Rock Steady. But once his father got killed, his mother picked up and went to Asia. He didn't speak no Asian. That's what he said to me. I ain't speak no Asian.
Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. I know that story. Yeah.
So here's this young kid who has this skill.
Yeah.
He has a skill, and the skill is doing this new thing that everybody wants to learn how to do. So he didn't have a job. He didn't go to school. He was a kid.
Yeah.
He said all he did was go outside, and he was dancing. And he started teaching people how to dance in Asia. Now, his mom had a really good job, so she moved over. They lived in Asia, France, Spain, Italy.
Wow.
Guess what? I was in the Apollo the first week I met Bomb 5. And we were coming from, there's this thing called breaking. It's like an experience that they do in Apollo. They try to go through the history and a lot of little dances. We left out of there.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 or 6 different groups of people that were there from out of the country. Several of them were Asian. I walk out with him and we talking, and I stop because they're in front of me bowing. Oh, Bomb 5. And I was like, what in the world's going on? And then he tells me the story later. He's like, yeah, I spent a lot of time in Asia.
Yeah.
And the 36 chambers and all that stuff y'all hear about.
They
know Bomb 5.
Yeah.
Because he taught people out there how to dance.
Yeah.
That's the effect of TBB.
Yeah.
But that was giving and sharing. He wasn't selling it. He was spreading the hip hop love.
Yeah, correct. The energy, the vibe, yeah.
Yes.
A venue.
It's different, yeah.
The venue.
It's feel like that.
So when we shot in South Korea a couple years ago. In South Korea, they had this big thing on the beach. 50, 60 people just standing around watching crews battling. It's like 100 people out there, and it's all crews. They battle in the streets.
Yeah.
It's totally different over there, the respect they have for hip hop.
Yeah. Fire.
And
fire,
we can use it. Use our powers for good and not for evil.
Correct. You
The
can do a
ability
lot,
to
man.
rap, the ability to dance, the ability to coordinate. What a DJ is doing is he's editing a live performance of somebody else's performance without error.
And this was my other question now. The DJs, right? The DJs. Well, it was record. That's when I know when guys were spinning and chopping it up with records. I mean, after cassette tape and all that, and the little the little things we had back in the day, but it became records. Who stood out around that time? That's maybe. I mean,
early
DJ Hollywood. I know.
Right. So now
that's
here's the
a
thing.
legend.
Check this out about DJ Hollywood. DJ Hollywood says he's not a hip hop DJ.
Well, he didn't start out at all. Exactly.
But let me tell you why. Because DJ Hollywood was actually in a lot of the disco clubs.
Oh.
Yeah.
But he also would talk over the record.
Yeah.
And so he
so
never,
toasting.
huh?
He was toasting.
Yes.
Like Jamaican style.
And so he never claimed hip hop.
Oh wow.
That's what's crazy. But everybody in hip hop.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Everybody in hip hop claimed him. They claimed him. They claimed Starsky. They claimed, and let me tell you, it is so there's a culture that they don't even know about. There's a culture of dudes selling tapes of performances, right? That was the first commerce. When dudes they were selling their tapes of a performance a performance that somebody had maybe in the armory, the 369th Regiment Army, and that was a group performing, and a dude would have his box there, record it, and then be selling those in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there's an element that we had that for a while, I don't know if you heard about this, Carmen, you might have been right on time for this, called the pause tape.
Oh yeah.
That was dudes taking a record, right? You have two tapes.
Yeah.
And you have the recorder, you have the little record recorder and the two tape cassettes.
Yeah.
That's me taking Lovely. Right? I'll be the greatest. Woo, 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 woo. I take the tape, I play it, and stop it. Stop the record. Then I do it, I go back again, play it. Right?
Yeah.
And I play, don't stop till you get it out. Don't stop till you get it out. Don't. And we made tapes, and guys would sell those.
Get crafty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was serious. It was serious.
Yeah, there's a lot of do-it-yourself.
They were so creative back then.
Creativity
They
that
were
comes
so
out of
creative,
hip hop and promoting
man.
hip
They were
hop.
so creative, man. They were
Yeah.
so that era was creative. Those dudes was creative for real, man.
Oh, and let's not even forget about the fashion, because dudes would iron their shoelaces.
Yeah.
Iron their shoelaces. We had belt buckles. We had Lee jeans that dudes would sew a seam down the middle. It would I can't think of the word. They would basically,
You're talking about starching the jeans?
Yeah, they starched the jeans, but remember that dudes would sew the line together in the front like a permanent crease.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from the laces, so there was Adidas, there was Puma.
Yeah, the Adidas, yeah. Eggshells. And all them little spots to go to, man.
But they didn't benefit from it. One of the people that did benefit from it, I interviewed him, and I'm trying to salvage the interview, but it's a guy named Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan basically started taking Gucci bags and suits and sewing them into jackets, sewing them into the seams of guys' car seats. Young drug dealers with Jaguars wanted Gucci. They wanted, right, Louis Vuitton in their cars.
I think this older cat was my man was telling me about that.
Dapper Dan had a $25 million deal with the Gap.
Okay.
He's still alive.
Okay.
That just happened a few years ago. He's got a deal with Puma now.
Okay.
I'm waiting so we can do the TBB line.
Yeah.
Adidas, give us a call.
Yeah, all right. Hit him up.
Amen.
Yes. Hit him up.
But that's really the vibe of it all, is that here's an industry that we still own. We still own.
That's the point. That's the point I was making earlier. Yeah, we here.
Yep.
We here. No, as far as you personally, right? Your inspiration personally. I'm gonna get back to Suzanne on this too, because this is what I want to find out too.
Yeah.
Like beside the drive to get it done and all that, right? And we know it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because like your time is so important, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you to be dedicating like time in itself to cause like this, right? And in a while we're gonna talk about the show in a little minute. Before we go, we're gonna talk about the show, what's coming up, you know what I mean? On 27. But I'm saying to and I know God help a lot in your life. I know you're Harlem born, you know what I mean? You're right, you was born in Harlem, born and raised in Harlem. Yeah. And now as far as like learning to do filming, you went to school, you learned it like hardcore, you know what I mean? What's the process with that part of it?
Yeah, so I really had I had a love for moving pictures, and I got
Okay.
it from listening to the radio, listening to WBLS, right, with the sound off during the commercials.
Okay.
So
Bob,
you're a little kid.
Excuse me,
Yes.
one of our viewers wanted to comment and said that Dapper Dan is the boss.
Yes, he is.
So-
He definitely is. That is a prime example of a young man who had nothing
entrepreneur.
and made his way in fashion.
Yeah.
Right? He made his
Yeah.
way in fashion. And so it's so many of us that can do that. You know,
I know.
Yeah.
But they gotta be they did inspiration, like you said. You gotta show them. You know, a lot of people like
Yeah.
you talking it, but they don't really do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't want to. A lot of people want to enjoy the end of the day, but they don't want to build either. So it's a chicken situation. You feel me?
Yeah. But I still teach. So what I do is
Yeah,
I
well, yeah.
I
It
teach
is what
kids
it
how
is.
to
You know what I
DJ,
mean?
right? I
It is
teach
what- yeah,
kids
it
how
is
to
what it
DJ, right? I teach kids how to make film. If we can, you know, it's really this one, and this is our partner. And so I'm going to tell you, I am the director of programs for an organization that's been around for 58 years called Each One, Teach One.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, when Jesus went to make his disciples, he picked 12.
Yeah.
And then he told them to go and make disciples. It was the one-on-one effect. It wasn't a boom. It wasn't a big class of different people. The church came into existence with a big boom, but he was like, one-to-one is how you're going to change, man.
Yeah.
And so we have to do the same thing. We got to share. That's why what we're doing, look, I appreciate your love and your vibe, because you was like, yo, what do you want me to do? You want me to come out and cook something? You want to do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, it is what it is, man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I don't want to, you know what I mean?
More
For
people
real,
don't do that.
I want to say thank you for including me too anyway, you know what I mean? Because this is right up my alley, man, you know what I mean? I love doing stuff like this, you feel me?
Yeah,
I
like
get energizing especially for the kids, you know what I mean? Get them up, you know what I mean? Try to show them a different way. I'm done with that forever, bro. For real, you know?
Yeah, they want to see somebody else doing something so they can imitate it.
Yeah.
Giving them examples is whack.
It could be done,
Yeah. So we come together. On
Yeah.
27th Sunday,
100%,
right? We doing graffiti inspired art.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
We celebrate
So
Bill Blast.
So you gonna play it over? You gonna play in over 10 minutes?
I'm not playing over nothing. I'm so messed up. My body's so beat up, and I play ball like real hard body.
Well,
but
that's what I'm gonna ask you too.
I'll get on the layup line.
Where you play that? Where you play that?
I went to Cal State University Northridge. They call it CSUN in California, and I was the starting point guard for a while. Then I got hurt. But I mean, I played in Rucker Park. I played against Rod Strickland.
Yeah, I know you play. I know you play Rockets. I know you play Rockets.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. That's another question too. Let me ask you who you see. Who are you see pull up through there? Who are you? I know you got a lot of.
Oh man! So it all started, and this is why I became a filmmaker. I became a film. Here we go, blackout.
There you go.
Lights out.
I didn't pay the rent. I didn't pay the bill.
Put on back your mic. Put your mic back on.
I was watching Tom. Huh?
There you go. Better. Yeah, we can hear you now.
I was watching Tom and Jerry, but my parents was listening to the radio. So I was sitting and I noticed that I didn't hear the sound from Tom and Jerry, but it was moving to
the radio.
Never too much, never too much.
Okay.
I was like, wait a minute. I was a kid. I was like, I was like, this is powerful.
Yeah.
Because they're not even playing the music from here, and I'm interested in watching these guys, but I hear this other music. So I knew right then and there I wanted to be a filmmaker. And then when I got to Rucker Park, I mean, I watched Tiny Archibald.
Yeah,
right?
Tiny, that's my man. That's your boy. He from Crosstown.
Yes. He from Patterson Projects.
Yeah, my man, Uncle Hank is watching us now. He from Patterson. You always tell me about Tiny.
Let me tell you.
About Tiny, yeah.
He was the real deal.
My wife
Yo.
is from Patterson, man. My wife is
Yeah.
from Patterson, man. Yeah, my
So
wife
it's
is
a
from
whole
Patterson.
lineage of people, right?
What?
Mhm.
It's official over there, bro.
Yo,
It's
let me tell
official,
you,
man. Got some loving people from over there, man. For
it was
real,
a beautiful
generations
thing.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generation.
I'm bringing a couple of them over there. A couple of them
Good.
coming to the thing. One of
Good.
my men from Patterson is driving me over there. As a matter of fact.
Oh yeah, we in
Yeah,
there.
man, for real. You're gonna. They gonna. I told them they gonna love it, man. It's gonna be a beautiful thing, man.
So I'm watching this dude, and I'm like, this dude is little. He was doing work. He was the hardest player on the court, and I don't mean
They work.
he was like, giving it to
What?
these.
It's
Yo,
quick.
Stop
and he was the
playing.
first. He was the first player to lead the league, the NBA, in scoring and assists in the same year.
Okay.
They don't get that. He's 6 foot.
Yeah, he's 6 foot. Yeah, he was my inspiration. I'm 6 foot.
So what like I watched this dude, he was incredible. And I was like,
Yeah.
I see this dude on TV play for the Boston
But
Celtics.
Rod Strickland wasn't nothing to play with Eva though.
Huh?
Rod Strickland had game too.
Oh yeah. Rod is my man.
That's what I'm
a good
saying. That's
dude.
your boy. He had game too.
Yeah, oh yeah. But
He was
hold on.
serious.
I seen Dr. J play.
Right in there.
Yes.
I missed that game, bro. For real. I missed
Look,
that game, bro.
Dr. J played 72, 73, 74, and then like 83 he came back and did some awards and stuff. But he
Yeah.
had played against Joe Hammond.
Okay.
Joe Hammond, the destroyer. Joe Hammond was the guy that basically was the number one guy from Rucker Park.
Okay.
He would dominate the game.
Yeah.
40, 50, 60, 70, 80 points, literally.
Yeah.
With no lie.
Like that. Yeah, like that.
But
like
he was
that,
like,
yeah.
it was like music. Because he was in such good shape, he told me, he said he would run around the reservoir. He said once he started getting around it at least twice, then he got around 3 times, he knew he was ready. You know, the reservoir in Central Park is like 2.3 miles.
Yeah, of course. At least, yeah.
He would run that. He basically would run that, and because he was out of shape and he was an excellent shooter, he laughed. Him and Pee Wee, I was talking to them. Pee Wee Kirkland is another one, high scoring, but Joe was it. Joe would hit. He hit like 8 jump shots in a row. Then he'd go around you and lay it up underneath. He could dunk the ball. He could do everything. So what he did was he said, look, I'm going to play until I get done playing. So later on in his career, Doc was playing in the park. Joe Hammond hit 50 points in a game. Now, Doc wasn't checking him all the time, but he was playing. So, you know, somebody scoring, somebody got to get him.
Yeah.
But he scored 50 points. He only played the third and the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Talented.
So there's a lot of guys. So what I learned from doing that was watching. This is spectacular. The whole town is on fire coming up to the, you know, and there was a lot of different dudes.
Yeah.
You know, it was Artie Green. It was a lot of dudes. But you got to look at it like the guys that I played with, like Lloyd Daniels, right? Rod, Kenny Anderson played after us. He came after us.
Yeah, Kenny.
It was a lot of dudes, man. It was a lot.
A lot of dudes, man. A lot of dudes, man.
Yo, one of the guys that we gotta give homage to, that really a lot of those guys would not be where they're at. Even Rod going to Oak Hill, and then going to DePaul. A guy who was everybody's coach. He coached me in the Gauchos.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Coaching officiating. Yeah.
Dave McCollin needs recognition. Dave McCollin really fostered an environment of really excellent basketball with guys. Guys would go to Israel. I went to San Diego. We played against dudes. We had Lloyd Daniels on our team, a whole bunch of different dudes.
Yeah, I know Lloyd,
So, you know, it's an environment. But that's what this is about.
So Rutgers, not cut you across. How Rutgers and mixed with the hip hop culture and yeah, exactly. How did they intertwine? Because all the basketball, the hip hop. I mean, Allen Iverson was one they say, oh, with the braids and the wearing. So Allen brought hip hop to the league and all that. But
So let
I
me
know
say
Marcus
something.
was responsible for mixing the music along with the ball and all
Yeah.
that. Come on,
Yeah.
let me know. Talk it
So
to
let me tell you, it was a record player out there.
Yeah.
My father wanted to just play regular songs. Me and my brother lived in the Bronx. He lived up near Stevenson Commons, right, Parkchester. So he would hang around Theodore and those guys, and he was younger. You know, guys carry the records and see if they can get on and do things.
Yeah, you already know. Yeah, I be getting it. I be sneaking in like that too. Yeah.
Yo, I gotta get in the party.
I got the crate. Yeah, you already know.
And
That was the passage. The rite of passage is carrying the record crates.
Yeah,
Because I was underage too now.
I got my
That, hey, when you're underage, you have to just, get in where you fit in.
Right.
It's fun.
But
yeah, so go ahead.
Each one teach one is the same thing. It's showing people skills that can help feed them and
yeah.
No, and that's
every little bit comes.
Yeah, and it doesn't require a fee. Now, can we charge for it? Yeah, people can charge, but it's better to show kids in the community because kids, we were created to connect. That's why the Blacks and Puerto Ricans connected. They threw us all in the housing development and they thought we was going to be at war with each other. We was listening to each other's music, eating each other's food, going to get food from this person's grandma, right? And it became something that is love. Love is love.
Yeah.
Right? God is love. Love is love. You can see that. So when you talk about the basketball and the music mixing, it was only natural. It was only natural because when they played the records, my father wanted to play. He played he played like a little Luther, but I was like, Dad, can we play some hip hop records? Can we play? Me and my brother was like, yo, we gotta play some hip hop. He said, all right, but I'm gonna pick the record. And he picked the record of a guy who was in the Each One Teach One program.
Wow.
But he didn't know. We just found that out about 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
He picked We're Playing Basketball.
Yeah.
Who loves that? Curtis Blow was an Each One Teach One member.
I was just gonna ask you about him too. What's up?
Wow.
I sent the link to him. I sent the link to his people. I don't know where he at. I missed him.
Yo, that dude is real. He's 67. He got to be 67, 68.
At least, that's my man.
He still get on the floor.
He still gets down. He still gets down.
He crazy.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh man, son. I sent the link to him today. I'm like, oh man, I hope he's sick. I've been trying to get him. I can't get him, bro.
Yeah.
I got him in a video with me. I was like, oh my God, that meant everything to me, bro. I used to go sleep at his church. I used to go to the church. He had a church on 7 and someone, 150 someone, 40 someone.
Yeah, right there near the bus station.
Yeah, I used to go troop with him, man. That's my main man. He's one of the, I noticed a lot of people, I ain't calling no name, bro. But I know a lot of these artists like be acting funny, you know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not talking about the younger ones either. I'm talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Not my man Curtis, bro. Man,
not at all. Not ever.
Down the line, bro.
Genuine dude.
Huh?
So when you look at that, but then hold on. So we started doing that, and he let us play a couple records.
Yeah.
And then my father went to college with a guy named Ernie Morris. Now, Ernie Morris doesn't ring a bell to you, but when you think about the times when people say, hey, bros, hey, bro, yo, all of that, he was taking Latin words and he would take words and make them his own. Yeah. So when you hear the word Jim Brownski, that came from him. Because Red Alert was his younger cousin. And they would say, yo, Jim, it's Jimmy. That lingo behind what he talked about, well, you know, and he would take curses and abbreviate them into just the letters.
Mm.
And dudes knew what he was talking about.
Mm.
Right? And he had his own, LMO, leave me out of it. Brawls. Hey, brawls.
Yeah.
And
His own
he
language.
his own lingo. But
Yeah, his own
Red
lingo,
Alert was the first
Yeah.
DJ to DJ in Rucker Park at the Rucker Pro tournament.
Copy. Heavy. Heavy. Red B still on the concourse. Red B still on the concourse sometimes.
Yeah, he be going back and forth. He got a bunch of spots because the man is all over the world. I just saw a video kind of documenting him. Somebody interviewed him on a podcast, and he was like, and it was talking about his accolades and all that, because he's a radio legend too.
Yeah, he cool too, man. He a cool cat, man. I be talking to him, I be running with him like, yo, what up? Yeah. But I think around that era, you had a couple of guys who were just like playing cool, man. Even some basketballers. Even some guys playing with the Knicks. I meet them and you know what I mean, do a little something with them and they be mad cool. I be like, yo, it's surprising for people to be like that. You know what I mean? Where Susan go? Where Carmen go?
I was going to say
Carmen,
at the beginning, Bob, you might have missed it, but Carmen had shared that, her passion grew when she would travel younger age overseas, and she would hear these mixtures of different influence from where the music is being played to where it's marketed international. And that gave her, so that was, she's back on.
Carmen.
Yes, Matty.
What? You a Zulu queen. You see yourself as a Zulu queen. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We from a young age, we definitely followed the teachings of what Bambaataa had set forth for the youth, right?
Okay.
And it was very much an internationally driven doctrine of knowledge, right? A wealth of knowledge. And think when you are growing up and finding yourself and trying to, be a part of something that's a bit more powerful and I think for a long time you're trying to search and seek yourself and find yourself and where you fit in, right, as a youth. So for me, it was definitely one of the things that I gravitated to because I feel like I've always been international, right? An international queen. Yeah. And I love culture. And for me, that's what really pulled me in, if you will. So yes, to answer your question, yes, sir. Absolutely. From Houston to Chicago to New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's one of the things that was a common thread for a multitude of youth around the world. I have to say that much for sure.
Yeah, and most people don't know that Bambaataa actually went on a trip to Africa.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it changed him.
Yeah.
And that's how he really went off the vibe of, the tribal connections. My bill ain't paid. Come on, Bill.
Yeah.
The tribal connections of, the connectivity and we can all be one little finger running around, but if we come together as a crew, as a group, we can do more. We can achieve more. Together, everyone achieves more. That's team, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
There was a podcast, it was the University of Belize earlier today, and they had two of our other hosts, Deidre and Ariel Hamilton was on there talking about the connection of the Mastico and the Creole and the Garifuna and the really Afro-Indigenous people in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, they were talking about what they do that is indigenous, little things, little beliefs and stuff. So I was able to log in right before the show. But thinking here, reflecting back, I had met with some people who found out that they were really related within the hip hop culture, and had strong Caribbean roots, and was able to really connect with the other Caribbean countries through hip hop.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that we're gonna see, because of the continent, right, of Africa, we're gonna see a lot of great similarities. You know, when you think about it, at the core of DJing was Herc, right? Was Herc, Flash, and Theodore. All those guys are all Caribbean.
Mm.
But the idea that when you look at, and this was, I don't know that it was intentional, but if you look at what Capoeira, the movements in Capoeira, and how everything,
Brazilian, yep.
you know, and I've seen videos of people saying, oh, well, hip hop existed before. No, not with the idea of unifying the urban youth. And I think, you know, you see tap dancers doing things. I think the kids got some of that from them and incorporated, like the Russian dance, the Russian kicks. Abby is known as, and that's the president of TBB. He's known as one of the guys that invented the Russian kicks. He was one of the first people to start doing that in a hip hop dance, right? But it's all cultural. Dance is a wonderful thing. It's expression of the body, but the usage of it is what we got to keep remembering. But if I dance in the Olympics, right, it's different. And if I dance in the Olympics, it's wonderful, right? But who's benefiting from that? The Olympics, right? But if I dance at a benefit to raise money for kids to get food, what's more important?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And that's power. It's different. It's applied power. It's applied power. But don't forget, everybody come out on Sunday, July 27th. We're going to be featuring all kinds of artists. We'll hopefully have the skaters out there. We're going to have people doing live painting. We're going to be featuring apparel, Kingdom Apparel. You heard?
Let them know. Listen, but we have something coming up before we go. We have something coming up at the hospital at Bronx on Lincoln.
Bronx Lab?
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be at Lincoln. So Lincoln on Saturday, we're going to be giving out awards, right, Carmen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Carmen? That's
Yeah.
on Sunday. That's when? That's when?
Saturday.
July 26th.
Yes.
Okay, and then the 27th is
the Harlem Street Arts Festival.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to represent. I'm glad everybody know what's up.
We're going to honor Bomb 5, Bill Blast, and a guy named Neferqui, Andre Good.
Okay. Wow, beautiful.
How has the response been from people who are looking forward to attend the street festival right now?
It's been decent. But I think, you know, you can't always get a pulse on exactly what's going to happen. But I got people coming from different places all over that are like, yo, I'm going to be there. And so, you know, the Each One Teach One family will be there. We'll have, you know, we're going to have an opportunity to allow people to just show their art. Whatever they are able to do. It was free this year. So if there's people who still want to display their art, you got to send me an email to Bahmekka, BAHMEKKA @gmail. Bahmekka.
Yeah, we will have that information. We will have that information for them. You will definitely try to get that information and put it on the board.
Perfect.
But before we go, still, this is a promo for what's coming. So in the following Fridays, we will be building up to this.
Yes.
So remember now, you got to get whoever else or anybody else you want to involve or bring on. Because you find a time, any one of you guys or representatives or anybody will come on, and we will take it until that date, until the 27th. We can be here every Friday to make sure we're here. We got to make this thing work.
Joanna Cruz is going to come on and talk to you about the actual food drive. We're going to have Abby TBB, Abby 183rd come on. He's the TBB president. Hopefully he's on tour right now in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
But this guy who is with Public Enemy, named Johnny Juice Rosado. He's touring. He's the musical director for them. He's the DJ. He's the real guy that did the scratches on Terminator X, right?
Yes.
And
Okay.
he's a beast. He
Okay.
is the vice president of TBB. He's gonna be on telling you all this stuff that we're celebrating, all the stuff
Okay,
that
correct.
he's
Because
coordinating.
we want to get the word out. We want to
Mhm.
get the word out.
Right.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
We're looking so forward to seeing you both
All
with us.
right.
Yeah.
Gotta
Thank you so
celebrate
much.
with us.
We're going to talk
Yes.
again during the week. During the
I
week,
do
we're
want
going
to
to
ask
speak again.
before we let Carmen off too. I do want to ask her what would be for anybody who is not into hip hop right now, and
Oh, yeah.
what
Good
would be
question.
your recommendation right
Good
now
question.
from your point of view? What
Good
what do you like? What are you digging? What would you recommend? Even some of maybe the social justice issues that you might
Aspects,
recommend
correct.
or
Correct.
alarm
Correct.
to. What would be your recommendation?
You're speaking right to my heart and soul, because just like Bob, honestly, we both, we are centered in faith, right? And really and truly, my family is in Northern Africa, so I am a little mix of everything. So Egyptian, Italian, Spanish, Turkish, indigenous, all of the good things, right? And so
Mama Earth,
Afro,
Mama Earth, Mama Earth.
yes,
Yeah.
amen, yes. So I have to say that for me, hip hop globally is a huge centerpiece, like the heart and the pulse of culture, music, dance, its expression, right? And everything that was built on what community was from that time till now, it still is an outreach to all of the nations, all of the countries that are still going through the difficult times, right? You'll see war-torn countries that still have the kids,
Tagging and doing graffiti
yes,
on the walls to rebel
yeah.
and get out a message. That's what's going on, and that's hip hop. Go ahead, girl.
And I mean, I'm telling you, because like you will not find one country that will not. I mean, when I say to you that this is the pinnacle, like centerpiece of humanity, like Bob is expressing, that needs to be done. Hip hop has been at the forefront of the United Nations, right, at a time.
Yes,
So I
yes.
know Bob will be able to have more time to be able to speak on that, but this is what it is. And I think no one can derail that ethnic or authenticity of what hip hop really remains to be. And when we have nothing, this is what we have to turn to
Exactly.
God first and foremost, and then this, because also you have to realize too that not only is it just music, arts, and dance, but it's also education. It's
Yes.
also health and
Yes.
wellness. It's
Important.
also
Exactly.
Record
so
keeping.
many,
Record keeping.
yeah, like really, and
Yeah.
history, our history
You
is
must learn.
you must learn, right? And we defeat all of the bias and racism and all of the things, right? The music industry, there's so many levels and layers of complexity with things, but the essence of hip hop has always been, the core has always been community, right? And I didn't pay my bills, Bob.
You lights out.
Yeah.
So
So,
can I piggyback off what you're saying?
yes, sir.
Because I think what we haven't said yet is that hip hop is voice to people who were voiceless. And now you have a way where because even one of the first records, right? Broken Glass, everywhere, people peeing in the station like they just don't care.
Yeah.
That
Spielberg,
was a comment. It was a message, But that wasn't just to white people. That was like, yo, who's doing this in my city? Like whoever it is that's peeing in, you know what I'm saying, broken glass. Why we breaking glass? Yo, the Bronx was like a myriad of broken glass. It was so crazy. But that was a message, right? It's called The Message, and it was like, yo, we got a voice now. And that's what we use. If you ain't, because you ask Carmen, people that ain't into hip hop, you better stay hip hop tangent. You better stay hip hop relevant, hip hop related, because that's how you get messages out.
I always say the current politicians and the current culture people should really, because you look to hip hop as a protest music, right? It's that, and you should pay attention to what is being said to know what you need to put into the budget to help. And so, it's definitely a guide.
Well,
sorry,
I will
Carmen.
tell you, I mean, you know, it just, from the Universal Hip Hop Museum, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. From the United Nations to the Universal Hip Hop Museum that's being built as we speak right now, to Nelson Mandela's grandson, right, being involved with that. And there's global, Generation Global hip hop that is also in the background. There's so many different moving pieces that are still at this time being in the forefront as well as in the background of being that unification that still surpasses all of the chaos and the corruption and everything that everyone worldwide is actually.
It's like the
Yeah, you know, it is that. It is that. And it brings such depth of culture from all across the world. And it brings that unification and that centrification of what it is that we are building and continue to do so no matter what, under all circumstances, right?
Can I tell you guys, I gotta run. I'm really late.
Okay, man. Yo, we good, man. Hey, you stayed a little bit longer than we expected.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Carmen. Yo,
thank you, Susan. Thank you, my boy.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob,
Humble
before
and
you
honored.
run,
Peace and love, man. Peace and
I
love.
want to ask you something.
Yes, peace. Yes, ma'am.
What would you say to an 8-year-old girl who loves hip hop?
Tell her always listen to the message that they're speaking before you enjoy the music, because the message is being repeated into your brain. And even if it's stuff you don't like, you'll begin to like it because you're being conditioned and saturated. Always write, if you can, write out what they're saying. And then if that doesn't mean you, if that's something that's disrespectful, then don't follow it. Gotta go.
Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom.
Thank you, guys. Yes, my dear.
Do you want to?
Coming. We're gonna be talking again during
the street festival? The street festival.
Yes, sir. Such an honor.
That is huge. Congratulations on organizing. It takes a craft to put all of that together. The time, the place, the artists, the people. It really is a craft and a calling.
It's a collective effort. We meet every Sunday religiously after church, of course. But we all collectively have made it a point and an effort to be there since October, November. We've been meeting every Sunday. And even no matter where we are, if we're traveling, you know, we're still, you know, we're dedicated to this event. You know, TBG has to be honored in the rightful way, you know, because they definitely stemmed and rooted out this craft.
They made an impact for real.
Such a huge piece.
They're creators,
yes,
man.
Absolutely. And once you meet Abby, you will understand how much love this man has spread worldwide, and selflessly so, with his beautiful queen. So I'm super excited for you guys to be out there with us and enjoy.
Thanks for having us out too. Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely.
It was a pleasure to have you on, and Bob.
Have a
I
blessed
learned
night.
so much too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Have a
you. Thank
blessed
you for
night,
having
Steve.
us.
All right.
Thank you, Carmen.
Susan, so stop.
I do want to say, to our viewers, thank you for your time and your heart and listening to us tonight. And I hope that you got some names or some information, or could relate to some of the information that was shared. We hope that wherever you live, that there is a street festival that might be organized, or you can become an organizing volunteer or sponsor in those initiatives. And I'm pretty sure there's hip hop somewhere in your environment or your country, and listen to those folks, and they might be something that really is relatable. I also want to say, look out for us next week, Wednesday, on Read Between the Lines. And then we'll be back here on Friday with another amazing artist and creative. So, Samar, thank you very much. And I'll say good night.
Good night. Have a blessed night. Thank you so much. I appreciate a beautiful show.
Thank you.
Nice. Beautiful show, boy. Beautiful show.
Ride as we flow. Jim out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the tower. Lineage, Masonic, without the thrower. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Jim out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the tower. Lineage, Masonic, without the thrower. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Don't get caught up in the diddy distraction. It's just an illusion, fraction of the extended destruction. Like Brunson at the Garden. Temporary reprieve from your problems. Mental colonization. You know, they shiesty when they weaponize religion. War infraction. Nations against nations. The Jews against the Palestinians. Russians against the Ukrainians. China, Japan, India, Pakistan, Dominicans, Asians, Guatemaltecans, Belizeans. The elite is all about wealth distribution, world domination. I'm bringing bars with heat like beats from honor domination. Final conclusion, nuclear intervention. While in the hood, guns and sirens still blazing. Mothers in agony, screaming. YNs seeking instant gratification like Kelly streaming. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the tower. Lineage, Masonic, without the thrower. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the tower. Lineage, Masonic, without the thrower. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Tariff, topics of the day. Imports, exports, ships idle on the dock of the bay. Monopoly, Wall Street, financial experts. But the consumers is the one that has to pay. Systematic design to keep us behind like they don't know. We're the ones behind. The fashion, the music, the culture. Where their offsprings come to nurture. Like Earth, Mother. But our journey be easier with the involvement of the Father. New World Order. Imagine coming to America and be trapped inside the border with fake friends that's like 4 quarters. They will change for $1. The rapture, brother against brother, rather side with the other. The scripture, the Bible, Cain and Abel, Judas was at the table. When I pass the graveyard, I don't whistle, cause like most genius, I'm unstable. You existing in the zoo, I'm thriving in the jungle. Plus I just look like this, I'm deceptively efficient. My mental poison be potent. Keep that mumble rap, you incoherent. The university is on tilt. I'm building generational wealth. Pelts at the Met. If I was a swimmer, I'd be like the world record holder, Phelps. Yeah. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trowel. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trowel. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well.